am so excited to be here. My name is Li, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer and Managing Vice President of the Retail Bank Tech Organization. And it is my pleasure to be sharing some time with you. In the short time we'll be together, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how our digital and technology transformation has enabled Capital One to rethink and reimagine banking. Now, we all know life and technology are really windy roads, and we're all in a constant state of evolution. I started my career as a C# engineer. Today, that role would have been called data scientist. Back then, it was a programmer in operations research. Also back then, Python was not considered a real programming language, one that was only used for hackers. So clearly, a whole lot has changed since then. My team at Capital One powers the incredible products, financial services, and experiences for all of our retail bank consumers. Whether it would be at one of our 55 Capital One cafes, our 250 branches, our 70,000 fee-free ATMs, our mobile apps, and all of our digital experiences in the call center. And even when you are shopping at your near pharmacy or retailer and using one of our cash flow machines to make deposits. Now, none of these experiences, including our no overdraft free project, would have been possible without the investment and the significant investment we have made to continue to reinvent our technology stack. You see, mainstream really is a fallacy. In order for us to deliver and excel in our outcomes, we must continue to reinvent. That is true both in the world of technology as well as in our personal lives. Technology is constantly evolving, and so must we. So let me tell you a little bit about Capital One's story. In the early 2000s, three revolutions came into play all at once: smartphones, cloud, and machine learning. And this triple evolution has allowed us to supercharge all of our investments into big data, machine learning in real time, enabling instant, mass customized solutions for our consumers and our businesses. Capital One's investments in our modern tech stack, in our new and modern data ecosystem, leveraging the scale of our technology organization in AI and ML, position us to be at the frontier at the enterprises leveraging artificial intelligence. We have a long history of leveraging technology, data, and analytics to bring incredible experience to our 100 million consumers. We have rebuilt our technology stack from the ground up. We have created a modern data ecosystem. We have converged our systems into enterprise platforms so that we can leverage the scale of automation and the benefits of that scale. We went all in the cloud and have continued to stay at the frontier of cloud innovation, leveraging technologies like serverless so that our engineers can spend less time managing infrastructure and more time building great products, data products, as well as machine learning solutions at scale for our customers. And we did so by building an organization of 14,000 technologists. Our thousands of technologists have at least one AWS certification, which ranks Capital One as the third most cloud-fluent organization within all of AWS's executive customer base, and that includes Amazon itself. Capital One is also an industry leader in the number of patents granted each year. We have over 4,000 worldwide patents and over 3,500 inventors in our staff. We transformed how we build software and became early adopters of APIs, DevOps, microservices, and automated testing and deployment in scale. Our AI and ML use cases are prevalent all over our organization, whether it be for our agent servicing tools, our developer experiences, and even in our fraud models. So let me tell you a little bit about how all of this transformation shows up in my role as the Chief Technology Officer for the retail bank. The first solution I'll tell you about is about cashless ATMs. Now, you've all had this experience, I am sure. You're out and about and realize you're out of cash. But unfortunately, you left your debit card at home. And now you're stuck and cashless. But not to worry, because at Capital One, you know it, we know what's in your wallet. So as a Capital One customer, you will pull up your app, we will find, using NFC the closest ATM. You will make yourself to the ATM, scan and authenticate through biometrics, and voila, cash will be dispensed directly to you. Now, on the flip side of that, if you have a little bit of cash and really don't feel like making the trip to the branch, to a bank branch, because many of us don't have all that time, we also have a solution for you, and that's called CashLoad. We have partnered with over 16,000 Walgreens and CVS pharmacy retailers. And that's super significant because over 90% of our customers live within a 10-minute drive of either or both of those pharmacy retailers. So we partnered with them, and if you were a Capital One customer, you would simply go to one of those retailers, you will find our CashLoad machine, you will print out a barcode, you will authenticate, and when you're ready and checking out at the cashier, you will pass that barcode over to the cashier, they will take your cash, and instantly that deposit will show up in your bank account. So as you can see, we really take reimagining banking for real, and we make sure that we leverage on our reinvention to continuously challenge and create really delightful experiences for our customers. Now lastly, we're also making a lot of strides in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Gen AI. Whether it is our hundreds of associates that use Gen AI for agent servicing, or how we think about fraud prevention in our own proprietary fraud models, where we're able to not only detect, but also mitigate fraud at the time of a card swipe. We're continuing to experience and experiment with AI in a well-managed risk model, where we learn, adapt, and continue to test. Now, a lot of that strong track record of robust and effective oversight in machine learning and AI is largely due to this 10-year digital and technology transformation, because moving to the cloud allowed us to automate and be well managed at design. So, I will close with this. Over the last decade, Capital One has completed its shift to the cloud. We are entirely re-architected our data environment. We have received thousands of patents worldwide and built one of the world's greatest engineering organizations. The winding road of digital and tech transformation has enabled us to deliver unexpected and awesome experiences. And you are so compelled and excited by this journey. I join you to welcome us because, as you know it, we're always hiring. Thank you for your time.